first off, I'm Ethan. I'm just saying my piggy real quick. Alabama won yesterday, Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Second off, I'm just saying this. And I used to be really scared of hurricanes. So this sucks.
You did.
Yeah, like I used to like be terrified.
I love hurricanes.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you.
And what name for
Anyways, alright, so I'm just asking a question. How many play sports in here? Play a sport. Okay, how many play like football? Yeah, okay, soccer? How about like golf?
Let's go, Logan.
Okay, volleyball. How about tennis? Yeah, nobody in here, that's fine. So I remember, I used to play sports all the time, and I remember I played basketball at a private school, yeah. And it's not really a big thing, because usually private schools are good. We just had like 20 kids in the class, so I like had to play. But I remember playing, and I wasn't really that good. Like, every game I'd probably score like 2 points, something like that. And so I remember playing, and it was in the middle of the season, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm like watching the game go on, and it's actually pretty close. It's like 23-22, so it may not sound like a lot of points, but in a JV game, that's like, I guess, a good amount. And my coach is like, Ethan, we need you in. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, you need to come in. Shaquante over here broke his leg, and you got to come into him. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. So I get up, and I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm like, this is nothing for me. And then he's like, you got to guard 23. I'm like, 23 sounds good. I'm like, I don't know where he is. I'm like, I look over, I'm like, there's 20. And I look over, and it's this big dude. He's like 9'5", like 5 million pounds, and I actually have pictures of what he kind of looked like.
5 million.
Y'all see this?
Stupid.
He was ugly. He was like this.
Oh my
He was real ugly. He looked like this too. No, but really though, he was a big dude, and like I joke around, but like he was big. He was probably the biggest person on their team. And I'm like, coach, are you sure? Like you want me to guard him? I'm like 4 foot nothing, and you want me to get him? He's like, yes, you have to get him because everybody else won't get him. I'm like, okay, I got this. So I remember the other team passed the ball in, and he's dribbling down court. And I'm pretty positive when he was looking at me, he was staring into my soul. I'm pretty positive he said, I'm going to eat you. Today. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm not scared of this dude. I got this. He dribbled, every time he dribbled, I felt like the ground shook a lot more. He was really scary. And I remember him going up, and he's driving, and he's like doing all this crazy stuff that I've never even seen in my life, not even in the NBA. And I'm like, okay, I got this. I'm going to defeat him, whatever. He starts dribbling to the goal basket, and he goes up. Who said what? Whatever. No, I always do that. I don't know why I say goal. But anyways, he dribbles to the basket, and I push him, and he doesn't score. And I'm like, I feel good. He got fouled, and he actually made the 2 free throws. But it doesn't really matter because I stopped him. And I kind of look at that story kind of in an everyday life situation where I look at giants in our life. And there's some giants in all of our lives, and sometimes it could be a big dude that's 9 foot whatever, 500 pounds, or it could be anxiety, depression, it could be fear of loneliness, like somebody said, it could be even fear of the dark. I don't know who said, yeah, you too, it could be fear of storms, whatever. But I kind of think of it like that, and as we turn, if y'all have your Bible, y'all want to go to 1 Samuel 17. It's kind of a little bit to read, so I'm just going to read and try to go as fast as I can. I'm not the best reader, so keep with me. But it starts off with the Philistines and the Israelites. They're on each side of a mountain, and there's a valley between them, and they're in battle. And it brings up in verse 4 that there's a guy named Goliath. He's a big dude, kind of like the basketball player I faced, but probably a little bit bigger. And he's a little bit scarier. He has servants that come with him, and they're carrying all of his stuff for him, and he's just a big dude. He's scary. And it picks up in verse 8. It says, Then he stood and cried out to the armies in Israel and said to them, Why have you come out to the line for battle? Am I not the Philistine, and you the servants of Saul? Choose a man yourselves and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you guys will be my servants. And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all of Israel heard these words from the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Then it kind of skips over to Jesse, which is the father of 8 8 sons, one being David. He's the youngest of them. And then he has more sons, and 3 of them are already in the army serving Saul. And it picks up in verse 14. It says, David was the youngest, and of the 3 oldest followed Saul. But David occasionally went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And then it kind of goes over with Jesse, the father, needs David to go bring supplies to the army. So David's over there, and he sees this big dude screaming at people, and he sees him like giving threats, and he's wondering why he's doing this. So he's talking to the men, and he's saying, like, how is this guy able to do this stuff to us, and y'all aren't going to do anything about it? And it kind of picks up in 25. It says, so the men of Israel said, have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come up to defy Israel, and it shall be that the man who kills him will get riches from the king and be exempt from taxes of Israel. David kept speaking to the men like, why aren't you guys doing anything? Y'all should be fighting. He's nothing. And then 28, it brings up, it says, now Eliab, his older brother, heard that David was speaking to the men. He was angry, and he said to David, why did you come down here? And with whom have you left those sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and your insolence of your heart, and you have come down to see the battle. Then it says in 31, now when the words which David spoke were heard, they reported them to Saul, and he sent for him. Then David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go, and I will fight this Philistine. And kind of 33, it says, Saul said to David, you are not able to go against the Philistines to fight with him, for you are a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth. Basically saying you're not good enough. There's no reason you should even be here.
Yeah.
And in 37, it says, moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of a lion and from the paw of a bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go ahead and let the Lord be with you. And it kind of picks up in verse 40. It says, then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in the shepherd's bag and a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. So the Philistine came over and began drawing near to David. And the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked up at David, and he dismayed him, for he was only a youth, ruddy and good looking. So the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you have come with me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by the gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will get your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Now, if I was David, and I was hearing this, if I heard somebody say that I'm going to rip you apart and feed you to the birds, I might be like, maybe you're not somebody that I should mess with. I might have backed away, but David actually didn't. He said, then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you with the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head off. If I was listening to David, I'd probably be like, bro, you crazy. Like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you saying this stuff to this dude. He's like 5 million times your size, and he's way bigger than you. But I'd be like, you know what? This guy seems kind of confident. So I'd say, you know what? Go ahead. In verse 48, it says, so it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone. He slung it and stuck the Philistine in the forehead. So when the stone sank into his forehead, he fell on the face of the earth. So when David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him, but there was no sword in David's hand. Therefore he ran and took the sword from Goliath, cut off Goliath's head, and the battle was over. I love this story a lot. When I was a kid, I know it's a story that a lot of people talk about. It's probably one of even if you're not a Christian, if somebody said David and Goliath, you probably know Goliath was big, David was small, he's still defeated. You probably know that. But I love the story because it kind of shows a person so inadequate of accomplishing anything, and it shows through the story them transform into somebody capable of doing everything. And I love that because in our lives, we kind of go through the same trials. We go through day after day after day where we face giants in our lives, whether it be sickness, disease, whether it be just scared to do anything, whether it's parents divorced or parents that don't believe in you. We always just try to we always, like we say, you know what, we're too inadequate of accomplishing anything. But the same thing was with me and that basketball player. With the basketball player, I was scared for my life because I honestly thought, like it said in one of the verses, I thought he was going to rip me to shreds and probably eat me for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a midnight snack. But I knew that, you know what, if I just at least try, what's the worst? Like, you might fail, but you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and one day you're going to succeed because you have God on your side.
Yeah.
And I know, and with me, I took a couple steps that helped me get through that. And the first step is you need to be the one to act on defeating your giant. Too many times, I feel like we go through situations where we don't even try.
Right.
Mostly because we know we're going to fail. I remember one time, I was at school, and I saw this kid, and I knew that he was in need of somebody or something. He looked like he was thirsty for a substance of either an emotional person or something. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try because I don't think he's going to really push after, or really, he might defy me. He might say, you know what, like, Christianity's stupid. So I didn't even try to push after him. And then I remember one day during lunch, he was sitting by himself, and I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go sit with him. And I sat with him, and I was so nervous. I was literally shaking. I was like, hello? He was like, and he was like, hi, and I was like, are you okay? You seem upset. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going through things. I don't really know what to go to. I've tried everything. And I'm like, have you tried Christianity? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, this is what it is. And I began to explain what it was, and he began to like bawl, and he said, you know what, I want the love that you see, that you see. I want the love that you feel. And he actually gave his life to Christ right there. And it wasn't like, it wasn't just all me. It was that I actually took the step.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because I say this, he says, God won't act unless we act. God didn't bring down the wall until the walls of Jericho, until Joshua directed his army to start the march. God didn't open up the gates until Paul and Silas started worship, and God sure didn't split an entire sea until Moses took a stand to let his people go.
Yeah.
And it's just you have to start pushing out.
That's
Every
great.
one of us. We always have to. Step 2, God will use even the little to defeat the giant.
Yeah.
I love this. This story is probably one of my favorites because throughout the whole story, David is constantly being ridiculed and saying, you should be doing what you do best, what you're comfortable with. You should be tending to the sheep because that's what you're comfortable with.
Right.
Not even his brothers, but the Saul, the leader of the army, said, listen, bud, you're too small, you can't do this, you should go. But David didn't let that stop him.
Right.
He was okay with being uncomfortable, and he pushed out to know what he should have done, which was say that, you know what, the Lord's with me. If the Lord can do this in Moses and Paul and Silas and my people's life, then he's going to do it in mine no matter how big or small I am. And the devil, I think, likes to say some things. The devil likes to say that you are too fearful to beat your fears, too stupid to overcome your thoughts, too ugly to feel beautiful, too insecure to feel secure, too incapable to control your mind, too small to overcome the big. But God says that no fear will control you anymore.
Right.
You will overcome. That you are smart and you can overcome any obstacle. That you are beautiful in His eyes and you are loved by Him. That you are perfect in every way, shape, or form. That I have put good thoughts in your mind, and through God all things are possible. And that in God's eyes you are huge. And no matter how big the giant may seem, it's too small for me.
That's
right.
right.
And I named this title of this sermon Little Giants. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that movie. Have y'all ever seen that? Little Giants? It's like probably the best Disney movie on this planet. It is like maybe like 20 years old, so it was before my time. But I love this movie so much because it's a team that just got a bunch of kids together, and they're facing this team. And there was one guy named Spike, and he's just like an animal. He just like kill everybody, not really kill, but you know what I mean. And so I love this story, and I love this because even with the things that seem like a giant to us, to God they seem so little.
Right.
And that's kind of why I named this that. And no matter who tells you can't overcome anything, always know that you can do all things through Christ. And no matter what you are an overcomer.
That's great.
Step 3, stay committed to defeating your giant. I remember when I was younger, I would during Christmas Santa's real, just letting you know. So I would always ask for one gift that Santa would make in his workshop. And I would say, one Christmas I was like, I want a bike. Ashton wanted a bike too. And we actually both, I don't know why, we were just like, I want a bike, just because that was just the thing, like the kid thing to ask for. And I remember, I even prayed the night before, I was like, Jesus, like, if you could just tell Santa that, like, I need a bike, that'd be great. And so I remember going down, we were in the mountains in Tennessee with our whole family. I'm walking down the steps and I'm like, oh my God, there is a bike, Jesus, you're good. And I was like, you heard my prayer, whatever. And so I remember going downstairs and I was like, this is amazing, like, I love this so much. Somebody heard my prayer. And then I look over, and I don't know if y'all know what this is. Have y'all ever seen a pop rocket?
Oh yeah, the small little bike.
It's small, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like
I didn't think anybody would know that, but good job. But it's a small motorcycle that's yay big. Yeah, like that. And it goes like 30 miles per hour, so it's pretty fast. You're nodding your head in the back, but it's true. It did go 30 miles per hour. And so I remember I looked over. I'm like, oh, Santa shouldn't have. And then I look, and it's for Chandler. And I'm like, okay, like he's older. It's fine, whatever. And I remember he was like so happy, and I was like, yeah, I got a bike. That's cool too, whatever. And Mom was like, you can be grateful. And I was like, whatever. So Chandler actually took it outside and he rode on it. He was going really fast. And he was like already a master. I thought he was like BMX god, whatever. And I was like, can I go on it? And he's like, no. I'm like, why not? And he's like, you're too small, first off. You're gonna kill yourself, second off. And you're gonna kill yourself, third off. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. And Mom and Dad are like, you're not allowed to ride this, only until you're older. I was like, you know what, whatever. So I let it go for a couple weeks. And one day, from school, I was like, Mom, I'm sick. I wasn't lying because I was sick of school, so it's not a lie.
Oh
but I was like, Mom, I'm sick. She's like, okay, sweetie, because I was like her youngest back then, and then we had Abby. But she's like, okay, you can stay home, and Chandler and them were like, whatever. So Ashton and Chandler went to school, and I'm staying home, and me and Mom would always do like, this sounds weird, we'd always feel like we were on a cooking channel. And we would go and like make cereal, but act like we'd be like, and this is our show. Oh. And just look into the TV or something. And we'd act like we're just, just chilling there in a show. And I remember my mom's like, I'm a little tired, like I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm just chilling in my house. I'm like, it's like I'm alone right now. I was like, this would be a really good time to ride a bike. And so I go in the garage and I look, and just the pop rocket's just chilling there. And it's like a holy beam. It's like, oh, whatever, just chilling. I'm like, I'm gonna ride this thing. I was like, I'm gonna stay committed, and I'm gonna do this. And I remember I opened up the garage, and Mom heard it, so she came out. She didn't say anything. She was just standing behind me. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna let him do his thing. He disobeyed me. We're gonna see what happens. So I get on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am bee's knees. I'm amazing. I'm riding this thing. And I got on it. And I didn't know how to really turn it on, so it took me like 15 minutes to turn it on. Really, it was just a button. So I turned it on, and then I'm like, I don't know what this does. I floored it. I zoomed through the street. There were cars. They stopped. I zoomed through the street and just right into a tree. And my lip was busted. My knee was bloody. I thought I was dead. I was like, God, is that you? But really, like, I was like, I'm dead. I look back and Mom's just like, that's what I thought. Whatever. She like helps me out. But I'm like, Mom, if I didn't stay committed to this, I would have never been able to ride this thing. I was like, I hope you know, like, I pushed through this. I'm proud of myself. She's like, Ethan, you look like you just got in a fight with that 9'6" whatever guy. And I'm like, I just wanted to keep pushing. And I love it because it goes kind of with our lives today, and it says we need to always keep pushing after our goals. There are too many people that give up after they fail the first time. There are too many people that throw in the towel when things get hard.
Yeah.
I never stopped trying my hardest to ride the little motorcycle thing because I knew, like, I was like, that's my goal. I'm going to push after it no matter who says I can't, even if it's Mom and Dad, which don't disobey now. But I was like, I don't really care. Michael Jordan, he could have given up when he didn't make the basketball team. But then he became the best NBA player. If you like LeBron, he gives the love. I like LeBron, but I'm just going with whatever everybody says, whatever. But best basketball player in the entire world. And if he could have given up, he could have stopped right there. But he said, you know what, I'm going to push through. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to say, you know what? no matter if people say I can't do something, I'm going to keep pressing through because I know at the end of the tunnel there's a light.
Right.
And God says the same thing to us. He says that no matter how hard things may be, no matter how many times you fail, no matter how much hurt and pain, no matter if you've gone through hell this week, you need to keep pushing through because there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a goal that you're going to want to see, and it's going to be set as long as you dig into what God says.
Yeah. Right.
In step 4, it says, always keep your guard up and never let the devil sneak up on you.
That's good.
I know a friend at school, and Danny goes to school with me. He might know him. I'm not going to say the name, but it was in 9th grade. He kind of had a drug issue, and he would do meth and cocaine, like really bad. And I remember him talking to me about it. He was like, you know what, I just can't get through this. Like, I just don't want to give it up. And I was like, listen, I promise you, if you don't give it up, you're going to regret what your future is going to look like. He's like, I guess so. And he's like, and I was like, how about this? Let's set a goal for 30 days to not do any drug. He's like, that's a lot. And I'm like, I believe you can do it. And he's like, okay, whatever. So we set this goal. About 2 weeks in, he's like, I can't do this. He does meth, and it's kind of crazy because I told a teacher just to be like, because you need to tell somebody, just letting you know. And she was like, okay, I'm watching out for him, all this stuff. He did it, and then he's like, you know what? And he ruined his life. He's like, I'm ruining my life. I want to change. I'm like, okay, let's reset that goal. Don't stop. Don't stop after the first time you fail. Just keep going. So I said, okay, we're gonna set this goal. He goes all the way to 29 days. It was a Monday. I come into school and he's not there. And I was wondering, God, or I asked my teacher, I'm like, what happened? She's like, I don't know. Maybe he's just sick or something. I'm like, okay. I go through the day, and then we have a guidance counselor come into our classroom and say that yesterday he overdosed and died. And it's kind of tough thinking about that. But if you think about it, he could have, he felt probably so good on the 29th day. He probably felt like he was going to push through it. But he let his guard down. He let the devil come right back at him. Yeah. And that's exactly how we are every single day. You know, it says, always remember that no matter how good you may feel or how far you have come, always remember that the devil can still sneak up on you.
Right.
Easy. The devil's smart. I don't know if y'all know this, but he comes to steal, kill, and destroy you.
Right.
And he knows what your weakness is. He knows what your troubles are.
Yep.
And he's going to bring that right back to you. It says the devil likes to come with us when we least expect it. Even when we feel like we are on the highest mountain, the devil can still be there. So when you guys defeat your giants, and I know you guys will remember to keep praising God and thanking God for it and keep him in your word. Right. Too many times we go to camp, we go to youth retreats, we go to all these places, and we go down to the altar and we're like, God, you've set me free. You've helped me through my life. Thank you so much. I'm done. You go back to your house and you say, God set me free. I'm going to keep that app on my phone. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to keep going on my Safari. I'm going to keep letting this guy come into my life. I'm going to keep letting this girl come into my life when I know they're not supposed to be there. I'm going to let them just come through. And then, time after time, the devil just comes right there, and he's there. And he puts us back to the same cycle of feeling hurt, feeling broken, feeling let down, feeling like the devil's right on us, feeling like we can't accomplish anything. But I'm going to tell you, there are ways to keep your guard up, and one of them is stay in your word daily. I've had trouble with that for the past year. Staying in my word is because I'm not the best reader. I don't really like reading. But I realized recently that when you stay in your word, when things come to fight you through the day, you can back up scripture to say, you know what, God says that my body's a temple, or something like that. You know that no matter what, you have scripture to back you up. Draw closer to God. Worship every day. In the morning, when you find time, praise God for 5 minutes. It can be a lie. 5 minutes, whatever. As long as you just worship, God's going to be with you through your day. And have an accountability partner. That's one of the biggest things for me. Levi is actually my accountability partner. And he holds me accountable through a lot of things. And I do the same with him. And it's and also, when you have an accountability partner, don't find somebody that's on your same level as you. Because you're going to find somebody that's really easy to push you down. Because they're not higher than you. But honestly, when you find somebody like Levi, or like, let's say Pastor Scott, or Ashton, or Danny, or somebody around you that's on a different level than you, then you can always go to them and say, I need advice. And they're going to give you the advice because they're on a higher level than you. They just are. And I think my favorite step is step 5. What the devil sees as a disability, God sees as an opportunity.
Yeah.
When in verse 51, let me find it. That's not the page. There we go. Verse 51, it says, therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of his sheath, and killed him and cut off his head. A lot of people don't realize this, but David had a slingshot. Like, he just had a regular slingshot that all of us knew of. Like, he just flung it like whatever. And I love how the same sword that Goliath tried to use to kill David with, David killed Goliath with. Yeah. And I think it goes perfect with our lives. When we go through life, the devil will put things in our lives that make you feel terrible, sad, depressed, lonely, anxious. But I believe that God's going to use those things to help other people. God's going to use that same disability and turn it into an opportunity.
Amen.
I know someone who went through a terrible divorce and felt like her life was over, but now she is preaching to tons of people on how true love really is.
Come on.
I know people that have come through tough seasons where they feel like they're giving up and quitting, but God uses them to preach their testimony to many more.
Right.
You might feel like your past is too broken. You might feel like you've messed up too many times, but God can use what you've gone through to help others.
Amen.
And I think that, and I just wanted to encourage you guys today on that no matter what giants in your life, no matter what you're going through, always realize that, number 1, that you can get through anything. You just act on it. Number 2, God will use even the little. No matter how small, no matter how big, no matter how dumb you might feel sometimes, God's going to use you no matter what.
Yeah.
Stay committed to feeding your giant. Don't give up on the first day when you're trying to do something. Don't give up, and just keep pushing out. And always keep your guard up. Never let the devil try to sneak up on you.
Right.
And number 5, what the devil sees as a disability, just remember that God can turn around and use it as an opportunity to save others. And so that's pretty much it.
That's
all I had to
great.
share.
Yeah.